Babe, it's time to get up.
Can't be that time already.
Come on, you know you're gonna have a busy day today.
No, I know. I'm gonna get up. But you know, I think it's gonna be a real good morning, y'all. I feel it. Yeah, alarm buzzing, I think it's time that I wake up. Singing in the shower while my girl does her makeup. Kiss on the cheek while I wish her a good day. She handed me my iPod and said, damn, I love you, babe. Popped in my headphones and started my walk. I would've went for a drive, but my whip's in the shop. Look at the clock, 7:45. Looks like I'm running late again. Always trying my luck, but you gotta play to win. I really need one, fighting these demons. Be prepared, life changes like the seasons. I adapt to rap schemes and flash things that I got from music, plus all the problems that cash brings. That's expected when you trying to be great. Just know I give it my all, I know that y'all can relate. I feel the weight, but I just keep pushing. Music is here to help me like a good woman. See, I could never do none of this on my own. Glad that I found a place that I could call home. A comfy bed that I could fall on. Keep dreaming until the day that they come true. Live and learn, enjoy the life that you go through. Never worry, cause you know that I'm blessed. Keep my head up, cause you know that I'm blessed. Moving forward, cause you know that I'm blessed. Spreading love, cause you know that I'm blessed. No matter the test, you know that I'ma give it my best. Come on, never worry, cause you know that I'm blessed. Keep my head up, cause you know that I'm blessed. Moving forward, cause you know that I'm blessed. Spreading love, cause you know that I'm blessed. No matter the test, you know that I'ma give it my best. Come on, you know what they say, good things take time. Seems we always in a rush, but never opened our eyes to see things grow, take things slow. Young boy exploring the world and be home before them street lights show. Been on the road since them old days. Kenzie serving up rhymes like a buffet. Staying humble because that's how I was raised. Finding ways that was different. That ain't the hard part, it's staying consistent, but damn. Life seems to catch me in a bad place, but I'll wait till my spirit starts to levitate. We reach for the peak, trying to find something new. Finally off of work, time to do what I do. Locked in the stew, relieving all my stress in the booth. Shit never gets old, I just love coming home to you. This love in my heart is something I wanna pass to you. The flame lives on, I'll be here when all else is gone. Yeah, cause fam is real, the bond is still. You know my team keep it vintage like a Coupe de Ville. Feels great that I finally found a place of my own. Kick my feet up, can't do no wrong. As long as I'm home, never worry cause you know that I'm blessed. Keep my head up cause you know that I'm blessed. Moving forward cause you know that I'm blessed. Spreading love cause you know that I'm blessed. No matter the test, you know that I'ma give it my best. Come on, never worry cause you know that I'm blessed. Keep my head up cause you know that I'm blessed. Moving forward cause you know that I'm blessed. Spreading love cause you know that I'm blessed. No matter the test, you know that I'ma give it my best. Come on.
No one in your place tonight. Depression growing up inside, and you're still in the crazy and real district. And no place to breathe. Focus on your travel low. Don't you know? Listen up to the magical, lyrical, not just show up and out like a miracle. Remember, you were not just a domino. Just throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. Just throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. Don't you try to get a reason for your fight. Don't you wanna see another side? Pray for your people. Stay away from the circle. Prisoner from the city, hidden chair. Realize we're in the same team. Hurry up. We're surrounded by the extremes. Should wake up before you get more tears. Just throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. Just throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. In your place tonight, no one's coming from outside, and you're still in a crazy and real tragedy, away from what you feel. Focus on your travel low, don't you know? Listen up to the magical, lyrical, not just show up and out like a miracle. Remember, you were not just a domino. Throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. Just throw it up, all your doubts and fears. Don't make it up, cause you are what you feel. Speaking up, preaching a mass appeal. Just leave it up and fulfill your dream. You'll be doing the right thing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Battlegrounds League. Here we are in week number 3, and we are looking at another very interesting game coming forward. With me today is going to be Heyday for the first time. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
And so far,
good luck to my apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just so far looking like it's going to be an interesting game going forward. I mean, right now, the first spawn immediately over the military base.
Yes, it's always fun to watch them on this spread from this angle, which is something that just the casters or spectators get to see. The players in there are already thinking about where they're going to drop and looking for that perfect location.
So one of the things we normally encounter like really early on is kind of, like players want to land and go to the places that are easy to loot. They want to go to the big cities. They want to get something to themselves where they can get all this good loot. This, I think, is actually the first time that we've gotten to see, at least in the league, a big spawn right on top of the military base and a ton of players landing there as well. And already looking to get some shots across the board. We're going to be seeing Funk Daddy not going to be able to connect with any of them, but he knows that there are players nearby and he knows that that threat is very imminent. But he just gave away his position.
Absolutely. In the first and second week, as you mentioned, not a lot of people dropping to the military base, but a few here and there driving over the bridge over to the military base, taking the gamble to try and get that sweet, sweet loot there while everybody else is fighting up in the major cities. But as a player coming down into this military base, you're getting shot at, as you can see here. We got a little triangle action going on from multiple angles, and you always have to watch your back.
Funk Daddy trying to get some return shots, and your boy Agu over there as well. Both of them taking fire. It actually looks like 6th Rune and Funk Daddy have decided to go down and kind of try and just get some more loot. With the circle spawning actually up on the main island, it's going to force them. They have a time limit now. It's going to be about 5 minutes until they are forced to leave. They might have a little bit of leeway depending on how fast the circle is moving for them, but that's still going to be urgent. That's still going to require them to either get a car or start swimming whenever it comes down to it, as it seems like a couple of other players here will be finding their loot out, but they're all still in kind of close proximity. And the groupings that we've seen more lately, and especially for this game, it seems players didn't have as many options. It was very centralized plane spawn. So a lot of the places we're going to see them, they are going to be clumped up. But with the cars, just like we saw there, you can kind of hope to get away from your opponents.
Yeah, that's the gamble you take. And unfortunately for these guys, they go and duke it out in the military base. And then as the circle hits, they've got a lot of traveling to do. Massive spread on this here right now. And this is the beauty of seeing, up to 100 competitors all on one map. You see where everyone's going to. And you could see some of the regulars here that have been competing the last couple of weeks, trying to either keep those spots at the top of the leaderboard, like L2P Lush up there in the West Coast, and Smithy in there as well.
I'm actually really liking that we're kind of hovering down on the parachute with Real Napalm here. Is one of those other players, him and Machine Gunner, are just the names that will forever be cemented in my mind for this, just because they are the two that I have seen play outside the circle for the longest amount of time. They want to get that loot. They don't really care about the damage, and they never tend to take that into account. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, back into the game, and now there's only 84 left alive. Of course, they didn't have any issues. We were experiencing some on the back end, but we've gotten right back into it, and as you can see, the players are still going at it, still looking for everything they can. A lot of them, at this point, have kind of migrated up towards that circle now that it is closing, and so they are looking to find themselves in that safe zone, but they're still playing it a little bit close down there on the military base island.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned before we went into that short break, you mentioned Machine Gunner here and a couple others. They do like to take the gamble of going outside of the circle, working their way back in. Ends up that he is in the circle this time around. But this is what I'm here for. I'm here for the gambles. I'm here for the meta-breaking maneuvers and to see what these players are willing to risk to try to climb that leaderboard.
And right now, I'm just looking at it. I mean, Smithy has been the one that's, I guess, most consistent overall. He's kind of been the one in the top line. But of course, in our second place, I believe, going into week 2 is going to be L2P Lush. The person got back-to-back wins last game and is actually kind of surrounded just by familiar names over there in Yorgapol. He's just on the outskirts. Looks like he's actually kind of near the hospital, I believe is what it is. And just being able to kind of get the loot that they have over here on this left-hand side. They still have some time. The circle, not exactly the biggest rush right now. It's not going to be closing in too fast, although they are on the faster edge of it. So they will have to keep track of that. But again, these players don't tend to worry too much about the damage that it does because it doesn't hurt you as badly as it will late game.
Lush started in 9th place after week 1, but as you mentioned, had a win in game 1 and game 2 last week, and also set the high kill count for a game with 9. Previous to that, I found it very interesting that in week 1, game 1, game 2, and game 3 won by 3 separate players, but all won by 7 kills. So looking at the kill counts going into week 3, it's interesting to me because I want to see, are these players taking the gamble to try and get those kills, or are they going to play more conservative? You can see right now with a high kill count of 9, they might be playing a little bit more conservative than they are playing in a quick match.
Yeah, and that's really just kind of the idea that they want to place in the top 10 because there are prizes on the line, because that scoring does matter. A lot of these players are a little bit more passive, but you can see as you watch the kill feed in the bottom left, there are going to be those that have snipers, those that can keep eyes on you. And even if you're playing passive, sometimes that's not always going to work out the best for you. You can still get caught out, and we've seen that happen for a few players. And I expect to see that possibly happen throughout this game, as it looks like the circle's starting to finally tick down some of these players' health, but they're all on that rush. The military base players all starting to evacuate, those around Novo as well kind of being forced into the position, although they're sitting right around the bench. We have another little triangle here that look to be just kind of waiting for the others to make the move first. The other ones need to make that mistake, and none of them want to get caught out.
I absolutely love seeing this right here, seeing who's going to make the first move, seeing if anybody is even pressured to move at this point. They all have assault rifles there, so they're at least sitting comfortably with some firepower. But beyond that, I would love to have a sneak peek into their inventories to see what they're rolling with here and see who actually is pressured to go and find more loot out of these 3.
And it looks like Oddcat is actually in a relatively good position because while it is out in the open, that looks like a functional UAZ right out in front of the building he has there, which is really going to be the one that kind of, I mean, it wins it for him. He's going to be able to get to the circle if he can get into that without getting killed. But Funk Daddy has a very good line on the driver's seat there, and it does look like we're going to be seeing Nobsy over there as well have another, not necessarily the same great line that Funk Daddy has, but still a good shot on him. If Oddcat makes that play, he will get caught out.
Yeah, and he could even turn this into some extra points here. If not only he can grab that UAZ, but also get the 2 kills here, as that UAZ sitting out there could be a bit of bait for Nobsy, or even Funk Daddy as well, trying to get across that bridge. I'm excited to see what happens here. The Blues pressing in. All 3 of them are sitting in it now. Someone's going to have to make a move very soon.
Oddcat looking to move forward, does go for the UAZ and immediately is going to drive away. Shots fired immediately by Funk Daddy. Going to be able to hit a couple of those, but he's not able to find the kill, and that's going to be Oddcat being able to make it out, and that puts Funk Daddy. He revealed his position. I don't know if he knows Nobsy is around. He's still looking for those shots, but now Nobsy could potentially look for the kill here.
He absolutely could, and Funk Daddy's just standing out there. Nobsy, though, playing it safe, looking for Funk Daddy to move. Now he's going to move as well. and potentially looking for a vehicle himself, trying to get across the bridge. From your experience in the first 2 weeks, I didn't see much of it, but has there been much bridge camping going on, or has it been a lot of just running and gunning?
The bridge has actually not come up to a lot of these players just because not a lot of them have been able to go down to that military base. I think the couple times we've seen it, there have been a couple players who are looking for that shot as Gazrilla almost able to find Lush's head there, has a nice silenced car looking for the kill, recognizes the player. They're both outside the circle. This is going to be very dependent. He has to stay healed up here. And Lush, at the same time, recognizes there's someone watching him, but he can't really make that play. The range goes in favor of Gazrilla with that car.
Absolutely. And it goes to show you watching Lush here. As I mentioned before, Lush was in 9th place in the top 10 after week 1, jumped all the way to 2nd place on the ladder after those 2 victories in week 2. So it does show that you can be sitting low and take a victory with a good kill count and jump right back into the swing of things and back in the standings.
And what's interesting to me here is this is probably the first time that we've seen a really big fight between 2 of the top 10 players, and there's still 68 other people alive. And I just saw the kill feed. Nabzi did end up dying down there in the military base, like outside the play zone. And as in that kind of circumstance where we're looking at the same play, both these players are ticking down low on health. One shot, and all you need to do is get them low enough that they won't be able to get that heal off, and that's going to be the play that can help you win. While it might not give them the kill, which is going to give them an extra point, it's still going to be worthwhile to take out your opponent. But it looks like Gazrilla going to go for the bike. Lush taking those shots. All he has to do is find, I think, one more, and he can get the kill, and he's going to be able to find that one, and he gets a bike out of it. He should be able to make it out of this circle.
Nice, very nice marksmanship from Lush there. They have a lot of ground to cover, though, just to get to the blue, let alone the white. And you can see that white filling up 66 alive, and they're all pressuring in there towards the middle of the map. This could go many different directions here. And it's always interesting to see which way that circle decides to go, and if you can take that gamble and find yourself in the middle at the crucial point.
Machine Gunner going to be the one that stands out to me as he's making his way into the circle right now, going across a couple of those bridges. We'll join Tink Tink, someone else we've been able to kind of see around here just outside of Pochinki, it would seem, and waiting patiently. It looks like he has another player very, very close by, but of course Pochinki, as we all know, is relatively a bad neighborhood. There's a lot of shots going through. Jay Snipes in the little shack just outside the building. One of them has to know the other is there. There's no reason for them to both be sitting there, although they are just inside the circle. So they don't really have that pressure. There's nothing forcing them to move just yet. But a couple of footsteps, just a couple of noises is all it takes to alert the other player and allow them to kind of have that just small upper hand.
Absolutely. And that's the risk of sitting on the edge there. At some point, both of those players will have to move. And whoever moves first potentially is putting their back to the other player. So it's always a gamble waiting there at the edge and then rushing in. Looks like the crate is dropping. And we have a few players moving in on it now. Katie Cake's there in the house with the Shoddy, and Jadar moving in with the UMP. It actually looks like he might be uncontested unless Katie Cakes is looking through. Although, as we see from this view here, she does not have a visual on that crate.
Looking like it's going to be a little bit worthwhile, although Jadar running away from it. I think he knows Katie Cakes, or at least another player must be around, or at least he's paranoid, which he should be because there are a couple players that should have their eyes on this. But I feel like Katie Cakes might not have even seen the crate dropping, which means it was a nice clean pickup. Of course, there's always the option, and this is always my luck with the crates, is that you will find a Tommy gun. And while it can be useful when you're in the city, when you get that close range, it's not going to be the best thing that you can find, especially when you have an AWM or an M24, any of the big snipers that you could pick up here, which didn't look like he had any of those on his back. So I'm going to assume that he was just a little bit unlucky there with his findings.
Yeah, especially with these, with the marksmanship of the players that are playing in these competitions, it's a bit different than in quick play. Trying to get that Tommy gun and go in on a player that has marksmanship like we've seen from Lush there, it's not necessarily the wisest move. So we do see Ring here, another triangle of players here. Jacob and Wino Cake, which we've seen before playing, both a bit low. And let's see what goes on here with these three.
Both, or all three, having that line of sight. It seems more so, I think, that Ring has been firing, so his position is going to be known, and Wino Cake does know he's being shot at, and I think the same thing can go for Jack here. But coming up behind them in a vehicle very fast is going to be Moliak. Whether or not he's been hearing these shots and recognizes that there are players nearby is going to be different, but he's driving up relatively low health. Ring opting to take some shotgun shots at the car. And I think he dealt a little bit of damage, but I'm not sure. I like the idea. I understand where he's coming from, but I'm not sure he realized how fast that car was going to be going past him.
I love it. He's just shooting at everybody. And, the wins and the, first 5 positions in the leaderboard here is we've got a shadow boxer going on here in the room. Those first positions are crucial as far as points go, but kills are important as well. So Ring just firing from the hip and firing at everybody that comes by. This is a close one here with JQOB heading up the stairs.
And he's looking at Enap, who was another player that we got to see. He was actually 3rd place in one of the games last week and very accomplished at finding those shots, although he was a little bit more passive. He kind of tended to play the waiting game instead of getting aggressive, and it looks like right now he's looking to try and find any positional advantage. The stairs here are really going to be favoring JQOB, but it's not going to when you have the railing right there, and he fired all of those shots right into the ceiling.
Enap with the kill. That needs to feel good, especially as you mentioned, Enap did place 3rd in game 2 of last week, but with 1 kill. And we've seen that at the top, as we mentioned the first week, 7 kills, 7 kills, 7 kills, 9 kills, 6 in there. But as you go beyond the 2nd place in the leaderboard, you're going to start to see those kills drop down for the most part.
Now, Lush getting shot at there by Machine Gunner. Not going to be able to find the kill. I was wondering if he was going to be able to eliminate one of our top runners. He's still going to be firing out there, but he has taken over the school right now. If he looks over to his right, he should be able to see a couple of players that will be running across that open field. But with the hills and the kind of the just geography of the map, it might be a little bit more difficult for him. Although I like, again, another player that is just constantly taking shots. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to fight. He wants those extra kills.
Absolutely. DJ Doodoo in the middle of the field. He goes down. And that's Chlatwoff with the kill.
It's another player we've seen kind of make it to the top 20. Never one that we've actually been able to see kind of crack through and make that breakthrough. So looking to try and continue. 48 still alive right now. The circle closing another crate, looking to drop there right next to Enap and Lush. And a few other players. I think I just saw Oddcat's name in that area as well, driving around. Going to be high contention. And the question is if the players want to get aggressive and go for this. It still has a little bit of drop time there. So they have that prep time to go for it. And Oddcat looking to get into a position where he's going to be right below it. And he actually has some decent cover in the area as well. But with the other players around here, this is going to be a bloodbath. This is just waiting for the kills to happen.
Yeah, they seem to be converging on that crate. At least it looks like Chlatwoff is heading that way. And as you mentioned, high contention on this, potentially. But then again, do people and players want to take the risk on that crate? Or do they want to play it safe? We'll see.
And now actually stopping their car between 2 players. Chlatwoff going to be able to pick up another kill right there, while Fast Killer trying to get the kill onto him. Should be able to heal up around this tree, but kind of locked down in his cover. He can't leave, can't go for that crate that he really wants to. And it looks like that's going to kind of make the potential for the crate. Oddcat, I'm not sure whether or not he grabbed it. The flare is still going on top, driving a little bit away, looking for some cover. Still inside the circle, and I think he did get it. So at that point, he's going to have at least some decent loot on his back, a little bit more going for him. And really, at that point, that kind of stopped the bloodbath, keeping them locked down. I think Fast Killer is the main reason we didn't see a lot of players go over there.
Absolutely. 41 players left as Oddcat here watches another driver drive by. Actually taking some damage here now from some shots. Looks like potentially from Enap. There's going to be a confrontation in the house here. Enap backing up already with a kill there.
Same house, same positioning right now. Enap going to be able to kind of peek over and keep eyes on the staircase, although he recognizes there are other players that might have some positional advantage onto him. It sounded like he was taking some shots earlier, and he seems a little bit worried about the positioning right now. T-Mac underneath him going to be trying to heal up. Schlattwolf making that rotation over into the building. All thirsting for blood. Enap, I think, actually just thirsting to try and stay alive a little bit longer as the circle slowly but surely closing in. And I think they are inside right now. They have that comfort where they're not being pushed. They don't have to make that run for it. but they also recognize every single one of them, how many players are around them and how dangerous it's going to be.
A lot of players outside of that safe zone right now. And this is the point of the game that's different from you and me jumping into a quick play match here, where we're not necessarily worried about where we're finishing. I mean, we might have goals of finishing top 10 or getting that chicken dinner every time. But right now, these players trying to at least last into that top 10, maybe get in that top 5 and start stacking those points on the leaderboard. So yes, at first you might be trying to get those kills and play a little aggressive, but now you need to start thinking about where you're going to last as we get down to 34 live here. Smithy with the ghillie suit and the frying pan and the sniper rifle, but chucking grenades here at Fast Killer upstairs.
That was the most dangerous play I think I've seen him make. He's actually going to throw it and get the nade kill. Smithy with the throw of the Century Kobe right into the window, and now he's going to be feeling safe. That was a dangerous spot for him. When he showed up, he was getting shot down. He was about just one shot would have been able to find that kill, but that wall being the saving grace. Heals up, gets the kill, finds the return. But now Lush in the neighborhood and looking for blood, knows there's a player nearby. He had to hear that explosion. Doesn't look like he wants to get aggressive into a building just yet, though.
I love it. The top 2 on the leaderboard, just mere meters from each other. And Smithy, at the top of the leaderboard, has the sniper rifle and the ghillie suit. It's almost not fair that he's rocking that, but he still does have to get through 31 other competitors to try and take that chicken dinner home here. They are squaring up a little bit here, which I really like. This could mean the difference between first and second place.
And Lush looking to try and kind of take a note right out of Smithy's playbook, use those grenades through the window to try and find the kill. Both of them have snipers, although the AWM on the back of Smithy going to hit just harder, just solidly harder, going to be a very good sniper. I don't know what scope he might have on that as well, because if he got that, I mean, he had to get it out of a crate. He could have an 8x, he could have a 15x. Either of those are going to give him just a distinct advantage in getting the kills here. When it comes down to it, Lush going to be, I want to say, at a disadvantage just because he has to aggress into it. I don't see a reason for Smithy to want to leave this building. There's no real reason to push him out until the circle closes out. And it's looking like that's going to be the same kind of mentality that ENAP has over here as we're going down. We finally broke down top 30, 28 players left alive. And a lot of them still surprisingly in the circle, all very close proximity to each other, but just not quite forced to fight yet.
I love it. Bunched up there and starting to bunch up over by Smithy and Lush as well. So I did a little math, and for the rest of the pack to catch up with Smithy and Lush even at the top there, it's about 3 wins plus an average of 5 or so kills per game. So at least Smithy is sitting very pretty in first place on the ladder. Do you think that affects how he's playing at this point, or do you think he's just going for win and kills every game?
I think he is the kind of player, so far from what I've seen, that he's the kind of person who's really just solidly targeting. He wants to make it to top 10. He wants to make it a top 5, because we've seen, like, he's not necessarily hardcore. I have to win. But if he makes it to that top 5, he's at least going to get enough solid points that will allow him to kind of remain at the top of the leaderboard. Although, like you said, kind of closing up on him, especially after 2 wins last week. Lush is just behind him. Having those top performances, we actually get to see the Alaskan just bolted down by Fairy Tale of Sin from the school. Those kills will make that distinct matter towards the end of the game, just because of how close these players are.
Absolutely, and that could be the difference between first and second place on the top of the leaderboard. And Alaskan did have, looks like, Chokix, if I'm butchering that well enough, down to low health, but it didn't pay off to reveal his position there with the shots.
And that's going to be leaving us now with 13 left alive. The circle having spawned over a lot of those players in the houses. They will not be forced to move just yet. This is actually kind of starting to favor a little bit closer combat just because of where they are position-wise. The players with snipers, I mean, I'm looking mainly at Lush and Smitty. They don't really have a need for those snipers with the proximity they are to other players. Now, being able to try and pick off some of these ones on the outside of the circle, they might be able to help it out. But as it stands right now, it looks like we're going to be seeing Okapaki, the one who's furthest away, trying to run forward. Still in the standoff over there is Oddcat, I think, finally leaving his building. But locked down underneath, taking some shots, actually almost being able to find it. One more hit is all it will take, and Oddcat going to fall down. The UAZ being delivered right into Oka's lap. Doesn't matter too much, no, because he's dead.
No. Nasty shot with the car 98 from Nayon. And we got a body hanging out of the car. This is getting pretty intense, pretty brutal here so far, as they are all closing in, as the circle closes in. And these ticks hurt now at this point. And so Nayon is going to have to rush in here. And forgive me if I'm butchering your name. We're learning them. And we'll be able to pronounce these like we're reading the dictionary anytime soon. This is going to be a good little fight here on the hill. Nayon very low, and Fatty McNugget, who was in a really nice position with that car 98, staying on top of that hillside, has an opportunity to get a kill.
This is actually probably the best stop for the circle with a sniper on a ridge. This is giving him very good geographical cover, although Nayon now going to be full health, 40 shots in his clip, with the knowledge that there's Fatty right around the corner. Nade going to be cooked, looking to be thrown right over here. Just one money shot's all it's going to take. A little bit too far. He's going to pop his head, get a nice sniper shot right to the face, but he's going to be able to live through that one. A lot of damage done to him. And now it's really kind of up to, Fatty, if he wants to get aggressive or does he want to let him heal? The heal will go off. Nade going to be cooked again, it looks like. Is Nayon going to play this one a little bit safer, but still going back to the same position?
Yeah, unfortunately, McNugget, you can see he only has the bandages there, as it's a slight uptick in health. Nayon was actually able to heal up a bit, and he still has grenades. Here's a grenade fight. This could be good.
Just barely off the mark, not able to find Fatty just yet. The nice throws from both players, but with the positioning and the movement that they've had right now, Fatty has been able to kind of be centralized between all of them and not take too much damage. And Nayon over there just moved in time to be able to get away. Smoke grenade's going to be thrown out right now by Fatty, looking like he just wants to get clear of this, tries to run away as fast as he can, but he does still have that sniper, which gives him that advantage. But 10 seconds now, and they are on the edge of this circle. And like you said, this does a lot of damage right now.
Yes, absolutely. This is going to start hitting for about 7% at this point. If not more, I'm lost to which circle we're actually in right now. But that was quick work of Fatty McNugget there. Unfortunately, the standoff didn't pay off for him. Smithy, though, Russian, and he's got a line on someone there. And like that's Drush.
Drush. Unfortunately for you, going to be taking number 6 right now. And Smithy, I want to say, has a nice advantage because of the ghillie suit. Lush outside the circle, going to be able to take the shots, takes out Smithy, and puts himself on board. If he was able to loot that, he would be very happy, but I believe the circle closed just inside of that, so he's not going to be able to pick up that AWM, not going to be able to get that ghillie suit. But in the top 4 right now with a few kills to his name, Lush, looking to try and repeat what he did last week.
Yeah, that's a huge take right there. They were standing next to each other for a very long time, and we were both wondering who of those two would come out on top, if either of them would end up fighting. And Lush, though, gets taken down as well. Nayon is playing really well here on the edge of the circle, but Lush with a top 5 finish and the kill, he will finish ahead of Smithy, and this is going to be very interesting on the points ladder.
In the 1v1, Fine and Nayon. Nayon, a player whose name I have not seen make it into the top 10 yet. Fine looking for a return up here. He was able to make it pretty far last week. I believe he's actually number 10 right now on the leaderboard, looking to try and get himself some points with a nice dinner. The shots, the range, all of it is here. Rifles galore, both of them extended mags. Both of them have the boosters going for them. They've been able to take some painkillers and some energy drinks to get them going. Full health on one side, almost full health on the other, and a wide open field between them. Only the geography really supplying that little bit of cloaking.
Yeah, this is a pretty great circle for us, not so great for them. This is really going to force them to fight. There's not a lot of cover. Nayon here, I think, could potentially have the advantage with this cover of rocks and trees in his area there. Fine did finish 2nd in Game 3 last week, and as I mentioned before, it really does go to show that you can be non-existent in the top 20 on the leaderboards, but pick up a high place, good kill match, had 4 kills in that match, and bump your way up to 10th, or yes, exactly 10th spot on the leaderboard.
Nayon, actually, I want to say, like, that is almost a dirty spot where he is, just being able to have that cover, but with the circle being placed the way it is, both of them just outside it and being forced to move forward. Fine, though, not looking around the ridge where he might see the player go, kind of rotating around. This being a slight hill takes a little bit of tick damage there as he just takes a step too far outside. But both of them just trying to make their way over there. This is where it's going to kind of plateau. This is where the land becomes flat, and they should be able to spot each other. Laying down for Fine here is going to be the play that kind of just reduces as much visibility as possible. Whereas Naeon over here, he's going to have to start moving just because I believe, just from what I saw him doing earlier, he's not really able to climb that hill where it is right there.
No, not at all. And these ticks are going to hurt very much here with I believe this is the 8th circle. So just 40 meters in diameter. You're looking at 11% damage per second and death within 10 seconds if you stay in that blue circle. And at the end of that, it's just going to push in and last man standing wins. So you can see they both pre-popped some meds here to counter that. But this is, I think, going to come down to some shots fired here, hopefully for us and for those of you at home.
I can almost feel the hearts pumping of the players. Like, they know how risky this is. They know how dangerous it is at this point with the circle closing. Looks like Naeon going to be just barely inside that. The same thing kind of goes for Fine, whose legs are sticking out, but luckily for him, legs don't get damage dealt to them, so he's perfectly fine here. As it looks like they're going to be, again, locked in kind of the stasis. So they hear a grenade going to get thrown away, looking for some damage, but not where Naeon is anymore.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Is it a bait, or does he actually think he's over there by those rocks? Because if he does think he's there, as they crawl right to each other, Naeon's going to take it with the win. Fine places second again, and Fine with 8 kills. Nicely done there. Naeon 7 kills. Smithy in 5th with 6 kills. Lush with 2 kills in 3rd. So very exciting end to the match, and I'm as a numbers cruncher, I'm really excited to see how this is going to affect the leaderboard.
And the kills there, especially, even though they're only 1 point each, it's still going to be able to do just enough to kind of give some of these players a little bit more of a distinct advantage. And Lush placing a little bit higher than Smithy there. These next couple games are going to matter a lot for them on the top player board. Fairy Tale of Sin, another player, number 4 right there with 5 kills. He's been able to make it a top 10 again. We've been able to talk about him for the past couple of weeks, but he's never been that standout player. He's never been the one that is shining bright at the top or even in the top 2 when it comes down to it, but now looking to try and make that his run. It's looking like it's going to be good for them. But with that, we'll be taking a short break as we get game number 2 set up, give the players a chance to get in there, get everything rolling, and bring it back to you. So we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.
See you soon.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2. If you just missed it, we got to see a nice 1v1 and a relatively small circle. I think the smallest we've gotten to see so far as we go through it. But with game number 2 starting, a lot of these players are looking to try and redeem themselves. Notably, Lush and Smithy both got knocked out there before they were able to make it towards those number 1 and number 2 spots that they'd like to favor. Of course, again, my name is going to be Gormizer, and joining me is Heyday for another game, and I'm sure you're just as excited as I am.
Hello, hello. I am indeed. As you mentioned, Lush and Smithy getting knocked out of the first and second spot, but they did place high, which is going to help them keep their positions on the leaderboard, while Fine, who was coming in the 10th spot on the ladder, just secured a win, or rather second place, excuse me, and that's going to help him push up potentially into third place after just one game here. A completely different approach on the plane as we go into game 2.
I'm actually really happy with both of the ones that we've had so far, though, because we are seeing it spawn this time over Georgopol, which is going to give a lot of fighting. As we can see, a ton of players up in this northwestern corner, a lot jumping out over Pochinki and Rozhok as well. And we're seeing players kind of have to go out of their comfort zone. They are being forced essentially into these fighting paths because there aren't many places to fly to from here, even if they want to take that long route. Just going to be a little bit rough, as we see. Again, a lot of players like to favor this. We see 3 of them landing on the roof of school right now. Sixth Rune, I believe, is one of those players that tends to continually come back here and try to find some loot, but it looks like he immediately makes the play, drops into the building to look for the guns instead of risking being out on top.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, this route of the plane goes over some very intense areas that, nicely done.
Play!
Absolutely. That was definitely worth seeing to kick things off here in the game. 95 left with the shotgun blast to the back. But you're talking about the school here. You're talking about the apartments here in the middle, all the way from Pochinki to Milta and beyond. So a lot of the heart of the map here covered. But look at the circle. Just when you.
This is like the most unfortunate placing for it that you could have. Just now, everyone who got out and went north is forced to find a vehicle or start running here soon.
Yeah, Real Napalm still heading that direction north in the parachute. Hasn't even landed yet. And yes, just when you think there's going to be a force to fight in the middle of the map, it blows our mind with a shift down into the military base. So we'll see how they recover and how they adjust to this.
And I saw Machine Gunner was in a parachute there, and a couple players actually driving down there, doing that standard play of we're going to land, do whatever it takes to get over to the military base. And with a couple players going over there, we're not only going to get to see some fighting down there, but they are the first few that really get to feel safe in this circle because they are landing right in it. As Machine Gunner looking directly for that UAZ, should be able to get himself a nice military base run with another couple players joining him. Looking to be another little bit of a bloodbath down there, even though last game we got to see, right off the bat, this game we get to see just a little bit delayed, but still looking like there was, I think, about 6 or 7 players that were looking to try and run down to this bottom island.
So worth mentioning here, and as discussed previously, Machine Gunner takes some different tactics, and I mentioned before, this is what I'm looking for. The thing is, though, he managed to still be parachuting when the circle hit, which means he was able to redirect towards that car. Maybe he was going towards that UAZ in the first place, but he was able to redirect and land in a safe area here, and he's going to go into the military base before the rest. I do like this area at the top of the hill here. I've had some interesting encounters there myself. You can find some good loot there, but occasionally you're left high and dry and just some nasty firefights as people try and work from the military base over to Novrapona. I totally butchered that name, but you know what I'm talking about. The city on the east coast there of the island, as Machine Gunner and the rest of the gang here have the choice of their pickings in the military base, really.
And a few players might be able to, just with the ones that we just saw on the hill, could be able to peek over there to Novo, try to get some loot, whatever they might be able to find. But Pizuka, I see another name there that's been able to kind of make it up, actually sitting at, I think, number 5 right now in the leaderboard total. Was able to do relatively well last week up against Lush, got a number 2 finish against him, and had some iffy plays, some things that were very close calls for him, but able to make it, and now making another close call going towards that military base. And as we can see, a couple of those players, Wino Cake, Real Napalm, as far north as you can really get on the map, going to be forced to potentially play the way Real Napalm tends to play, which is I'm going to take some damage from the circle. Doesn't really matter as long as I get the loot that I want. But now we've been able to be in this now, already losing about 20 players right off the bat. And Fresh Pepper Tony doesn't have a gun on his back, doesn't have a weapon in his hand, and looks like he was getting aggressive there and forcing out another player. But at this point, I think both of them are just with their fists.
It's good to see. I would love to see some throwdowns here. It looks like there's some Grand Theft Auto impersonations going on here as vehicles are being stolen, not just the loot being taken out from each other, but cars as well. As we look at Mazkud here, trying to find his way up or down the hill, not quite sure, as Fresh Pepper Tony is in that UAZ making a move.
Now, both of these players are in this really difficult position because other players have already gotten here and kind of solidified themselves, found guns, found weapons, found the ability to they found their roots where they need to. They're safe in the circle, and as we see Nobsy looking to be the player who potentially could get aggressed on here. Not the best loot you're going to be able to find in these houses, just kind of similar to what you'd find in some other cities, some other houses just kind of spread across the map. But any weapon is going to be better than someone just driving up with a car, and that looks like it might be the case. Fresh Pepper Tony almost making a beeline straight towards those houses. A few places for some positions to be gained over here that are still going to be safe on this island, but ultimately it is looking like this is going to be potentially the ending strat. A lot of these players are going to feel safe for a little while longer.
Absolutely. Nobsy down there having games like I had all day today with shotguns everywhere and no armor to be found. Fresh Pepper Tony keeps on cruising, though. It looks like he might run into Machine Gunner down there on the south coast of the island. As the rest of the competitors here, though, they're just trying to get back into that circle, which I think this circle was probably even a bigger surprise for them than it was for us as that dropped.
And it's just one of those feelings. It's the same thing. I encountered this last night. It's if you go, so Spawn Island has pretty decent loot on it, and you can make your way over there. But it's if you go to any of the corners of the map, if it is you, the luck that you're going to have, or if you're me at least, the circle's going to spawn on the opposite side of the map, and that's what a lot of these got to experience. Is it looks like Dozing Chopper going to try to take some shots, not going to be able to find anything, but does reveal his position. A couple players with the cover he has around there, kind of opening it up, could potentially get killed there, as it looks like Eximple here does have a line of sight on him, does have the ability to get some kills and a nice ridge to hide behind. Just has to wait for Dozing Chopper to make a mistake.
And ready and waiting while potentially moving across the bridge. This is a tough spot, as you mentioned. As you make your way down, there's players that have solidified themselves. There's players that can wait because this is a very long blue circle. Here, the first circle. And a bridge.
Ooh, almost going to get taken down, but Dark Dream's not able to find that last shot. Virtually no health on Reptar right now. One mistake on that motorcycle is all it will take to kill him, or just one little bump, but it seems like he should be able to make it out of there alive. But I mean, just like you were saying, this is one of those ones. You need a boat, you need a car, you need to get on this bridge. As Lush looking to get taken out a little bit early. Dark Dreams, again, just not able to find the kill and has to reload, not able to be able to just take anyone down so far. This is not the way that you want to be. If you're on the bridge, you're looking for those kills, and so far he's just been kind of scaring players.
Yeah, you mentioned previously that not so many people camping on the bridges in the game so far, but with this circle, this is going to force a lot of the players across the bridge there. But a long travel time. Lush gets taken down by Reptar.
Unfortunate for him, now getting number 71. That one's going to hurt the leaderboards and cause some disruptions. Reptar, actually, I believe, a player we were kind of talking about in the break where he's just not really shown up. He hasn't been spoken for really in the last few games. I believe got third place in the last game last week, but hasn't really kind of stood out so far yet. And now being able to take out Lush this early on, that's gonna make it easier for some of these other players. Now they don't have to worry about Lush being around, but he has a nice position on top of this hill as well to be able to kind of get some snipes going through like what we just saw. And with the SKS, should be able to find some kills throughout the rest of the match.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of those moments in the game where you're slightly paying attention to the kill feed and you see that player go down. And as a player being in there, it's always nice to hear firefights going on, because you know that it's potentially going to be one less number left alive for you to deal with later on in the later circles. And to be watching the kill feed and see Lush go down early, this might be a moment for a deep breath for some of these players.
As we're seeing a few of these players, Real Napalm looking like he's looting outside the circle again, which is, again, something that I've come to expect from this kind of player. But the rest of them, everyone else who has I guess want to say normalcy status, looking to try and make their way in, as we're looking at a little bit of a standoff. House versus Car. And we see our number one from last game, Nayan, looking to get aggressive here. And honestly, the range is going to benefit him up against the ump. If he gets aggressive, this is going to hurt. The circle is spawned. It looks like he's actually going to wait this out. He knows that he has to move out of the house. He knows that he does not have to worry. He has a car. Everything is set for him. Getting that circle is not going to be a big deal. It looks like he's going to go ahead and leave. Not going to opt for the fight. Just not going to wait it out and take the damage unnecessarily. But ultimately has that advantage. Makes some difficult drifts there as he goes down the hill, but as it stands, it looks like he should be fine.
And Neon outside the blue circle. You mentioned Real Napalm. So those moves outside of the circle, they could be dangerous, but they can also pay off. In the first week, Real Napalm did place top 11 2 of the 3 games and placed top 20 in game 3 last week. So slowly making his way up the leaderboard with those points, as we see some action going on here again on the bridge. And I would love to see some of these 3-point triangle standoffs in some of these areas where people are trying to make their moves across, because this is an opportunity for some players that are good at picking other players off to take advantage of that.
Dark Dreams still kind of hovering around the bridge as he has so far, and being able to find the cover. Of course, when he gets these kills, he's able to just move freely. Doesn't look like he cares too much to go and loot anyone who he kills off. With Taylor G going to be swimming up onto the beach just underneath him, might be able to turn around and find a kill. Knows some. I mean, this is a common camping place, and especially for a circle like this, this is where you expect to see a player sit. I want to know if Taylor G has that mindset of, I want to get aggressive and try to kill this guy, or if he's just going to let it sit as it stands right now, just trying to heal up the best they can before they run on the beach, which is going to be wide open, easy to spot. Underneath the bridge, going to give him a little bit of protection, though.
Dark Dreams moving again. Here comes a boat in Taylor G's direction. Taylor G's going to take some shots. The thing about Dark Dreams, though, if he can get those kills and come to him, so that's the gamble you take camping that bridge. You're losing a lot of time to pick up some good gear, but it could potentially fall right into your lap if you can hit those shots.
So it's one of those mentalities I always see where there's 2 kind of play styles you can come into the game with, and it seems like we're seeing the latter that I'm going to mention here. But the first one is obviously land, loot. You just want to get everything you can. You want to try to find as many heals as you can, the best weapons, as much ammo, whatever it is that you want to find. You are going to just go house to house to house looking for whatever you can find, upgrades all the time. The other way is to get the basics. You have enough ammo to get a couple kills. You have enough armor to make it so you can live through this. And your play is going to be kill other players and take their stuff. And usually when you have a low heals, that's kind of the way I tend to play. That's the way I lean towards is, you know, I only have 1 health pack. I'm going to hope that the next fight I get in, I'm going to be able to kill them. And they have some healing. It looks like Smithy looking to try and cause Fairy Tale of Sin to waste some of the healing he might have. But playing the water relatively well, this is something we got to see a little bit last week as well. It's going to be impervious. I mean, bullets hitting water at that speed, they just shred down, so it's not going to be able to do some damage. Fairy Tale of Sin, though, will have to take some breaths at some point.
Absolutely, and we did see in the kill feed, Enap went down to Dark Dreams, so the bridge camping paying off a little bit, and Enap, who we saw towards the end of the last game, is killed in the 60 range of players left alive, down to 60 now, and players are finally moving as the blue is forcing them to get closer and closer to the island. There is Dark Dreams still on the bridge.
I will say, I think the volatility of the game so far is what's kind of paying it off. In the first week, we didn't have as many players showing up, so we had, I want to say, a little bit of an advantage to make it into that top 10. It wasn't as easy to get killed off early on. The more players there are, obviously, the easier it is for you to get caught out and get killed. And as we're seeing, a lot of these players that were able to kind of do well, and either the first week or honestly even last week when we had 90 players as well, isn't working out for them as well. They're just not playing, I guess, as safe as they were. They're looking for that run and gun, or other players just getting a little bit more aggressive, as it looks like Fergs, another one we've seen, looking for Fatty McNugget. They're just around the walls from each other and looking for that better position. Fatty McNugget actually going up the hill. I like the way that he's moving.
And Dark Dream still on the bridge there, did manage to get that kill on Enap, and you could see the loot coming out there as well. Fergs with the Vector at first, switched it up now, and looking to stalk Fatty McNugget up the hill. I love this. This is what I'm looking for when I'm playing, is to try and get that person to move first and follow them up. But in this case, it doesn't work in his favor. Fatty McNugget knew he was there the whole time. You could see him creeping around the house, and he baits him in to follow him and takes him down.
That's going to be one of those cases, and this is a personal preference, so this one goes for whichever, but I like to keep the Vector on single fire, and only because every single time I've ever had it on auto, I run out of ammo before I can find the kill. I get a lot of hits, but then the last couple bullets, my aim just goes wonky. I don't hit the shots I need to find. I choke it away, and I end up dying because of it, and that was kind of the play that we just saw there. The Vector runs out of ammo, doesn't have enough time to switch weapons, ends up kind of just taking the fall, not able to find the kill. And I personally think that if you keep it on, single fire, you can at least place those shots just a little bit more sure. Of course, again, play style changes. Players can choose however they want. And actually, as we're seeing play styles changing around right now, a lot of water play going to be the option, just because, about 40% of this circle is going to be in the water, and it seems like the players trying to keep themselves safe, at least to wait and see where the next circle is going to spawn.
Smithy here does look like he got some shots to land on Fairy Tale there, as the health is low. There, as you mentioned, are a lot of players in the water. Some of them even look like they're just kind of swimming around, waiting to see what happens with the circle safety in the water, rather than pushing one way or another towards land. The way these circles have been going so far, I'm with them. I don't want to make any crazy decisions at this point, because these circles could go anywhere. Look at this little play we have here, as Spaz TV and JRiff are sort of hunkered down on these rocks here with the drop crate in range.
This is another just small case of both of them being just outside of their sight so that they don't see each other. I don't think JRF recognizes that Spaz TV is up there, and Spaz TV didn't catch him while he was moving around those rocks. Both of them looking for the opportunity to just keep eyes on that crate. They want to make sure no one's able to get it. It's out in the middle of a field, so going for it honestly seems like the biggest risky play. The only cover that you're going to really have out there is a vehicle if you bring it, and the box itself, and hopefully you will be able to do that if you go for it. But right now, we're looking as Psychotic, looking to kind of run up into the fray as well. Footsteps at this point, they're crouched and they're far enough away, and I believe that Spaz is high enough in the air that honestly crouched footsteps aren't going to really alert him to players nearby. As we saw, JRiff was able to just kind of hop down without alerting anybody.
Yeah, I think he's really relying on a player to run out into the field and try and get that crate. As you can see, there are some players on the other side moving in that direction. It's going to come down to whether or not they actually make a move on it. Schematic here, sitting in the blue, looks like just waiting to see the movement from the other players before making a move inside, which he finally does here now, and going prone inside the circle.
Now looking over towards Red Eagle, which is another play that we've kind of seen have some success and some not success. Looks like we might be seeing a couple players die outside of the play zone here. The damage being dealt right now, and it's just looking like it's going to be a rough run overall. Right now in the top 40, as the circle's closing down, we have the new spawn, which and this is kind of a new update with the way that the circles spawn, but this one going to be hurting a lot of them. A lot of the players that were in Novo, that were kind of on the southern side of that island, are going to be forced up, and there's a lot of open water and a lot of open fields over here. This is going to be a lot of tree cover that players are going to have to hope for, and a few of them that are out there playing in the water, using that the depth to kind of keep themselves alive and keep themselves safe, might be able to play something. Spaz taking some shots out, but ultimately they're going to get forced out eventually, and right now they're going to be safe for another circle, but they're cutting it close.
Yes, I think Spaz getting potentially a bit impatient as he was stalking the other direction, now trying to hit bodies as they come through the water. Little does he know there are players very close to him that now know his location and could potentially move on him there while he's shooting. You can see 4 players coming along here in the water, a player in a boat there as well, moving along. This circle here And where it ends up is going to be very interesting because it could be in this sort of field area here with some tree cover, or it could be in the military base itself. The crazy thing about the military base at this point is that although it is very ripe for the picking early on in the game, I think it's going to be picked pretty thin at this point, as you do see another crate dropping down. Fresh Pepper Tony running in there as well. And here comes Smithy. Looks like he's looking to pick that up. Is he going to end up with another ghillie suit and sniper rifle? We shall see.
Now, Fresh Pepper Tony actually drove, it looked like he went by that first crate we were looking at earlier that Spaz was keeping his eye on, and it seems like Spaz, immediately after he had taken his eyes off, left that one open and ripe for the picking. I don't know if Fresh Pepper Tony stopped for it, if he recognized that there were players that were looking over there, if he just kept on going. It looks like Smithy playing as careful as can be. I don't know if he realizes it, but he knows that his partner in crime, really, Lush, being taken out as early as it was, he knows the risk, and he knows better than to try and tempt the fates with some risky plays. Here's a car, and might be able to find the kill here. Some low health right nearby, but he has to look in the right direction to be able to find it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mentioned before that while some of these players at the top of the leaderboards may be in a comfortable spot and maybe feeling like they're within their comfort zone, I think when you see that someone that seems untouchable potentially through a couple weeks of play goes down early on, that you know that it can happen to you as well. And you, as Smithy, we see here going into the building very cautiously, may up that cautious factor. As you can see the tower there, we got Pizuka up top and someone else down below. I love this. And you only see this unless you see it from the perspective of being somewhere else out on the battlefield. But in this observer mode, I love how we see these moments of just such close proximity without potentially even knowing the other person is there. And as soon as you have to run or get pushed from that position, that's when you find out, someone was above me the entire time.
And this is one of those things that, because the players are just inside the circle as well, this is something like they're not going to move. They don't really need to move unless they want to get some views out the window, although it looks like they stopped just so they could see enough that they'd feel comfortable trying to find anything. Real Napalm just died outside the play zone. Unfortunately for him, that play style only works if you have enough heals to make up for it, as it looks like Reptar, Fairy Tale of Sin, all of these players are kind of just congregating here in the left side, kind of southwestern of the circle. Very, very close by, but so far, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to be taking those shots. I see Alwad outside the circle as well, looking to be taking some damage. A lot of these players that were in the water finally making their way over to land, but it doesn't seem to be working out for them. J-Riff actually has made his way from land into the water and spots another player and is making a safe play to go onto the beach. Didn't get noticed and now has that advantage. Should be able to find some shots and find himself a kill here. But again, Psychotic Spaz right up the hill as well. This is going to be big. Psychotic going to be the first one to get taken out.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. This is almost like the jump out of the airplane with the proximity that all these players are in, kind of just swimming around and running around and chasing each other. But they will be forced to fight soon as they're pushed into that smaller circle. And there's a bunched up here. And some of them, as you can see there, unfortunately on the rock face. And that's going to be down for Snapplecat. J-Riff with the kill with the Vector jumps and almost dies. That would be very unfortunate after a nice kill.
So that was, I think it was Dodo Uncut, runs up, kills off Psychotic, drops down, gets killed by Snapplecat. J-Riff now going to get naded across the wall. Spaz going to be able to find that one and effectively get the side of the island for himself. He finally clears it out. All those other players are gone, but now he has to move. The circle is going to be closing soon, and he is going to have to run across this open field.
That was great. What a nice toss. And as you mentioned, it definitely pays off for Spaz. Clears that area with the help of some other players, but now has free reign to get into the circle. And there are still some players that are trying to swim for their lives there. Unfortunately, those cliff sides can be very brutal. If you don't know where the entrance is, or you fall, or you get pushed somewhere that's not close to the entrance on a beach or so, it's going to be certain death as you try to make your way in.
And now sitting at 23. A couple players still opting to sit outside the circle looking for some shots is Reptar trying to find the kill, bouncing a little bit too much, not able to find Fairy Tale Ascend just yet, but he is taking those shots, but he's also taking this tick damage, risking it, but he has the motorcycle, should be able to get in. What was 23, now down to 21, and it's looking like we're going to be breaking into the top 20 here. Reptar, again, the player earlier who killed off Lush.
No.
That is the most unfortunate position for your motorcycle to get caught in, and it looks like he's going to be forced to run. He recognizes how bad this is for him, and while he is just outside the circle, there are enough players just inside it, especially Fairy Tale of Sin, who know there were shots coming over there and will probably be keeping their eyes open for someone running across the field.
We are in a top 20 situation here, 18 alive, and the Mushroom Tower inhabitants are still there. Pizuka and Total T-Mac. Holding it down. As soon as one of them fires, it's going to give the position away if they do fire from there. But as you can see, Total T-Mac has a door coming out of there that's not in the blue. But unfortunately, Pizuka is going to have to exit through the blue for a moment to get out of that tower. Another crate dropping up on the hill. This could be a good rush for someone that needs that extra advantage going in here to the final circle, 16 left alive.
Now looking around, I saw Red Eagle get taken down by Dark over there, who isn't on the bridge anymore because I don't think it's in the circle, but is able to find another kill, kind of picking it up. Reptar going to get taken down as he runs away. Pizuka letting his position know. Total T-Mac now recognizing that there's a player above him. Even if it's silenced, you know those shots are that close. You know that you are going to be just a little bit scared and probably play it a little bit safer here as he looks to be pulling out a grenade. And like you had said, his door is not in the blue, so he can kind of poke out and throw that up there, try to get aggressive onto Pizuka here if he wants to. It looks like he might go for it some of these fights, but not able to find it. Choxic is a bush.
Oh, that's
I think
great.
he's been sitting here a while too.
There's definitely better bushes to hide in, but if it works, it works.
Whatever keeps you alive, although we see Smooth Carbon right there. And I mean, just again, a huge kind of conglomeration of players just in this small area down on the southwestern side. Those two going to be inside the circle. Total T-Mac looking like he wants to get aggressive. He knows Pizuka's in the neighborhood, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to find a good position to try and fight into him. And of course, Pizuka being where he is, again, has to run through the blue to get safe, but T-Mac has that kind of positional advantage of being able to catch him if he jumps out. But with all these other players in the neighborhood, I mean, Smithy's over there as well. The minute he runs into an open field, he's going to get caught out, as it sounds like Pizuka going to be taking some shots. T-Mac able to get that. Choxic recognizes it, sees it. Smooth Carbon look to be looking over there as well. And we're in the top 10.
Top 10, and that was a good play by Total T-Mac. He waited out, was patient, threw a grenade or two, and knew that the blue would eventually push, waited to the push happen, and a good firefight from both sides, but T-Mac with the victory there and still alive. Doesn't look like he has any way to heal, though, and he's going to go down from a nice shot from Smithy. 7 left.
Able to find that one now, making his way into the top 7. That's going to be big for him as he's making it back up here and getting some of those points back over there. The circle spawning, Smooth Carbon, Choxic, and Smithy going to have to move, and Smithy playing it very close to the edge of the circle, just a couple of steps, and he is going to be in there. But right now he is safe. All he has is this tree, but waiting patiently. And I actually saw Wino Cake was able to pick up a kill. He was one of the players that I noted earlier. He was up there and at like the north side of the map looting and has been able to make it down here now, kind of in close proximity with Fairy Tale Sin up on top of this hill. Does have a nice little hut, is inside the circle, is going to be feeling safe for a little while here. Should be able to live through to the next one, although some nades being thrown out. It seems like him and Fairy Tale Sin, one of them knows where the other is, and they're playing the safe and trying to get the long range kill before they get shot at.
2 up on top of the hill, 3 down below, and 2 to the left. Dark Dreams making the move. These guys know where each other are. And Dark Dreams with some nice shots there as Fatty McNugget tried to throw a nade, which just absolutely exposed his entire body for some nicely played shots from Dark Dreams.
Yeah, now sitting at top 6. Dark Dreams is one of those players I honestly didn't expect to see last as long as he has. Usually being on the bridge, it's kind of a two-way road when it comes down to it. You can kill a lot of people, but if someone gets that better position on you, you should be able to get that going. But he has been able to make that retreat. Choxic in that bridge, actually looking to take down Smithy, going to be able to get the kill. 3 left, as we saw Smooth Carbon get taken down by Smithy just seconds before that one, and we saw Wino Cake be able to kind of kill off Fairy Tale of Sin. Now with 3 alive, the circle kind of closing. It looks like we see Dark Dreams going to be in there, as well as Wino Cake. Still having to move is Choxic, but he's taking some of that circle damage. If he gets spotted out, Dark Dreams should find himself another kill here.
I thought he was heading that direction because he knew he was there, but he's going to see him tick down to the blue. It looks like he's going to fall to the blue. He does indeed. The bush paid off, but only for so long. It did delay his return to the circle there, and we're going to see 2 left here. Dark Dreams with, I would say, the advantage here as far as the health goes, as far as the pre-med goes, and the shots coming from Dark Dreams at first on the bridge weren't so on point. Of course, those are moving targets here, or at least faster moving targets. And now he's going to make his way up the hill for potentially the final standoff. And this isn't even a super small circle here. So we may see these guys have a fight before we get to that 8th circle.
Yeah, Wino Cake having just the luck of the draw with the circle spawning right on top of him. Dark Dreams now, again, kind of keeping his play style safe. He recognizes he's running across a lot of open fields. He's using the geography to kind of keep himself alive. Another bush going to be just enough little bit of cover, but he's going to be coming up on where the circle is. And I like the play to run around the edge instead of run directly in, just to keep himself a little bit safer.
Absolutely.
Right now, I mean, I'm looking at Wino Cake with the, like you said, you know, they're both popping stims. They're both trying to keep up as much as they can. Wino Cake has a grenade out, and it looks like Dark Dreams has a smoke grenade to kind of throw out and try and get some cover. But it looks like Wino Cake is recognizing like he has to be around here, and with the footsteps coming up, he might get heard soon. This is the same position we saw Fairy Tale of Sin in just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think they both kind of want to finish this and proclaim one the victor. So they did both throw projectiles.
Kills.
Yeah, 12 kills, and that's your kill leader of the entire season so far with 12 kills. The first one to break double digits in the kill counter, and with the win there. Very nicely played by Dark Dreams. Wino Cake was second with 4 kills. Choxic in 3rd place with 1. Smithy up there in 4th. That's going to be a huge pay for him in comparison to Lush there in 2nd place on the overall ladder. Smithy with 3 kills, and the rest there to round out the top 10.
And the big thing I'm looking there is, unfortunately, Wino Cake, I think at the wrong time, ended up looking the opposite direction. He didn't see Dark Dreams coming up from the one side, starts looking the other way, and Dark Dreams just had the perfect ability to get there, line up the shot as much as they can, and as it stands, it's just looking like, I mean, a beautiful shot comes out for it. Like you said, the first one to hit double digits, the first one to set the new kill count high at 12, breaking Lush's 9 from last week. And it's looking like they want to try and repeat that kind of performance in the next game. We're going to take a short break as we get into that one. We're going to get that one set up. So we will be right back.
See you soon.
Welcome back to the third and final match for tonight's league games. So far, we've had some interesting runs through this game as we have looked at it so far. But right now, it is me, Gormizer, and joining me again is going to be Heyday, casting for you for one more game this week.
Hello. We are in week 3 of 5. This is game 3 of 3. And up until this point, we had a pretty solid leaderboard, but today saw some shakeups. As of last week, first place was Smithy with 126 points. L2P Lush, second place with 96. Raptor to Raptor in third with a tie with Katie Cakes with 56 points. P Zuka, who we just saw earlier, with 51 points in the fourth place. Texas, 50 points. MJ Yo, 50 points. Gazira, 48 points. Saturday, 43 points. And Fine, 37 points. Fine with the second place earlier today, which you'll see him definitely going up the leaderboards there. But then it got interesting in the last game. Dark Dreams with a 12-kill win, which could potentially see him in that 10 spot there after this week, especially if he has another successful game now. And of course, the shakeup, though, I was, and we can get into this later because there's some parts of the rules that I found very interesting in case of a tie at the end of the 5 weeks. And I was pushing for that because a pan-off sounds amazing. We can get into that later. But the real shakeup was that Lush went down really early and Smithy lasted to the end. But again, it was Dark Dreams with the impressive run there, 12 kills.
Yeah, but jumping into this game, what we're seeing is already going to be just as high impact and high violence as the first game. A lot of spawns right over the military base, and we're going to be seeing Josue there pick up the first kill very fast at this military base. And we saw a lot of players jump out here, the same, almost exact same flight that we got to see earlier on, and now kind of in a standoff. I actually see Salazar running around with a machete, doing his best Friday the 13th impression, but not able to get a kill with it, looking for a frag, a gun, anything that he can get to kill cash money while fights go on, gunshots fired all around Josue, looking for another kill as well. Players all around. He has a shotgun, 5 shots to his name to try and get this. Should be able to find it because he's fighting someone with their fists out.
Poor thing, dying in the corner with the fists out. Josue with 2 kills now. And this is going to be an interesting circle because last time we saw so many people up north, the circle down below, but this is definitely going to favor those on the mainland. As you can see, some late arrivals to the game. Smithy is a late parachute down to the boat there, and this is my personal favorite strats here. And we've seen some of this in the previous weeks with some players grabbing those boats and going in some crazy directions to find loot away from everyone else. It looks like Smithy's going to try and take advantage of that as well.
And that's one of those plays I really like to see these players, just especially because when you see someone like Smithy who tends to take that top 10 spot and take that top 5 spot for a long time, they want to go in a safer place to loot. They want to be able to have more loot to themselves. And while we see a lot of these players, whoever comes out alive from this military base will ultimately have a lot of loot on their backs, they're still going to have to fight a bunch of other players for that. And right now, 6th Rune kind of finding that one out the hard way, waiting a little bit of an advantage. Actually, that's a car that he is holding now that I'm looking at it, and that's going to be him taken down relatively fast. He had 4 shots. That's what kind of teed me off there. And unfortunately for him, as good of a rifle as that can be, he really needed a headshot.
Yeah, in the close quarters, the AK should always beat the car there, I think, unless you get the headshot, of course. These players now thinning the herd there, as you see Josue here already with a couple kills, going in and looking for that sweet, sweet loot. Stage 2 backpack, the Stage 2 helmet, and starting to actually accumulate some goodies here. As you can see, the herd is thinned, but they are going to have to make their way to the mainland. While on the mainland, we do see some bunches, and this could get exciting very early on as we are down to 76 alive.
The circle, this game, being a lot less taxing on the player base than it was in the last one, being a lot more kind to those players that are all around. And looking at Real Napalm here, actually inside the circle for, I think, the first time today, going to be in there and not going to die outside of it like he did last game, but he is going to be kind of rough for loot. I actually think he's currently with, I think that's 2 shotguns on his back. I can't tell what the other one was, if it was an SK-12 or if he had an M16 on his back, but really kind of running forward with it, looking for the best he can in the kind of outskirts of Pochinki. A lot of potential for a lot of fights over here, which again, that's kind of the reputation Pochinki has. It's the center of the map. It's probably the best place to be in terms of circle length, but at the point where it is, actually I see as the kill feed, Josue being able to pick up 6th rune there at the military base, it's a favorable place for a lot of players there in Pochinki. So a lot of people tend to land there and then die off very quick, as we see another crate being dropped over here on the left-hand side, just away from the shooting gallery. So that's actually going to be pretty good for a couple players, but right in the middle of an open field.
Yeah, we see 70 here, and don't see this so much in play, but you have Red Eagle and a couple others down there taking advantage of the that is there. As you mentioned, the crate dropping down in a very open area, and this could tempt these players into pursuing in the firefight, although it looks like the player that was down in the shooting gallery is going to move away from the crate and try to move towards the circle.
Yeah, just trying to keep it safe. One of the issues, this kind of comes with a lot of the northern cities, but Severny specifically, is a lot of the circles don't favor this town. A lot of circles make it so you are in a rough spot, and half of it right now being inside the circle is actually going to be very good for them, just because right now Red Eagle, Rhino Main, both of these players are names that we have gotten to call out for the past couple weeks. They don't have to worry too much or too much about having to get into the circle. They don't have to rush. They don't have to look for a vehicle, as we see. It actually looks like Lush waiting patiently, expecting to get attacked, but not going to be getting too aggressive. A shotgun and an ump to his name, very close range, and just trying to keep his eyes on Lukash there, who's up against the wall, taking some shots, but not going to be able to find any of them.
Yeah, and unfortunately in a tough spot here with little health and no way to heal it at the moment. This is putting Lush in a very tight squeeze. Since that last game, he dropped early, and he's really trying to hold that second spot on the leaderboard. And before we came into this week, it looked like Lush and Smithy were potentially going to cruise their way through and hold those top 2 spots after Lush's fine performance last week. But as you see, new players are stepping up. Dark Dreams today with 12 kills. And those places up on the top of the leaderboard are not so firm as we might have thought before.
Yeah, especially being able to shake it up. And while, you know, Smithy right now, like we mentioned it earlier, does have 126 points, while Lush is at 96, you can get a lot from a couple games, from a couple top finishes. I mean, with 12 kills in first place, Dark Dreams is definitely going to be able to skyrocket himself right onto the leaderboard as it stands, at least into the top 10 as it stands. And a lot of these other players, especially with Lush falling so early in the last game, that gives more players that opportunity to climb forward. High kill, high placing games are going to be the best thing you can do. Even low kill, high placing is going to be the biggest one, but as long as you can make it to those top 10, you're going to be able to find yourself in a comfortable spot. You might be able to find yourself going again. I mean, we mentioned a couple games ago, Fine, he found that second place. He's definitely going to be able to jump up there, as Rhino Man looking to run away from the crate. Got a little bit of loot for himself, and looks like he's feeling comfortable, as now he now has a nice opportunity because he's in this open field. He got a sniper, and he can maybe catch some of those other players as they come out of Severny. Of course, the option at this point is up to him. He has the full reign over here. No one's really looking at him, so he can run wherever he wants. He has that ability, and he's another one of those players who's able to kind of make it to the top 20, top 10 sometimes, but we haven't gotten to see him do so just yet, and this is a really good setup for him to be able to make that push.
Absolutely, sitting in a good spot, and no one around him right now. So unfortunately, it's not going to allow him to use that sniper rifle yet and pick up some of those kill points. But we do have a standoff right here, right now, as Reptar watches the door open right in front of him and is taking painkillers to pre-med this potential firefight. Or was that him opening the door?
I don't know what it comes through. It seems like it's a spectator glitch is what I'm hearing, but I don't see anyone close enough to him. Like, I understand wanting to pre-med and try, like, before a fight, but it looks like we might actually see Funk Daddy possibly find some shots. He has that AKM over here, and Zarky does have the advantage of range with him, considering I saw a micro Uzi in the hands of the other one. But now, I mean, at this point, he has to be on point and has to be looking for him. It looks like he's just looting it up. He's not worried at all if he puts his guns away like that and is running around. Funk Daddy thinks he is absolutely alone, and honestly, with the way it's going, Reptar is on the other side of the town. He might as well be.
Absolutely. Still a lot left. Lush here in the same predicament as before, low on health, taking some shots fired in his direction now, and really just trying to stay alive and survive to work his way out of the 60s here.
Looking to try and stay alive, and again, like you had said, with this low health, it's going to be rough for him. He does have the stare advantage, should be able to catch Lukash coming down. At this point, he must be full auto, waiting to peek. The camera angle not exactly favoring him. He doesn't realize Lukash is down there, and Lukash going to take the car, drive a little bit. And I like the call to kind of move the car away and just make Lush think maybe he's trying to run away, maybe he's moving around the building. Just kind of playing those mind games.
Absolutely. It starts to get you thinking. The heart starts racing. He can hear the footsteps circling the house, and it starts to really put you in a place, especially when you're on such low health. Lukash has been hanging out here for quite a while. Definitely wants to take Lush out if he can. This could be it right here.
And looking for the final push. No grenades on his belt, which really would just make this so much easier for him. Lukash looking to potentially cause some more mind games again, moving the car around, just causing Lush to freak him out, like you had said, just to kind of cause him some distress. But it seems like Lush holding the same position. There's only one way for Lukash to get up there, and since he doesn't have any grenades, he can't throw anything. He doesn't have that opportunity. He can't climb anything on the outside. This staircase is the one thing standing between him and killing Lush, and it seems like he recognizes that, and he also recognizes how bad of a position this could be for him as he's just kind of skirting around the door, gets spotted out. Lush knows he's around, and at this point is just waiting patiently to peek it out. Should be able to find some headshots, both with level 1 helmets. It's going to be an easy down if he can find them.
Yeah, that's a tough spot, though. He doesn't know if Lush is holding any meds, so he doesn't this time. Doesn't really know what he's up against at this point so far. So like you said, it's a big gamble if he tries to go up there. So playing it very cautiously right now. I love it, though. I love this standoff. This is exciting, especially with a player of Lush's capacity. Especially with a player like Lush, who is up there on the leaderboards. The potential to get knocked out is an exciting one, especially for the other players that are trying to work their way up.
And this is similar to something we saw last week, actually. I believe it was Red Eagle. I can't remember if it was 6th Rune, but they were locked in the school, just waiting for the other one to make the move that was going to end up killing them. And that's the same kind of thing here. Lukash actually does have the choice. He can leave. The car is right there. There's no way that Lush is going to be able to find the kill unless he reacts almost instantaneously and gets the perfect shots as he drives away. I mean, as it's standing right now, it's looking like a better position for Lush to just kind of sit put. He's going to be the one who has to get aggressed on, but the circle is not going to be good for them, and it looks like Lukash is looking to run away at this point. This is the call that I would have made, just kind of leave, although actually parks the car, is baiting Lush out of the building, and with the range he has an M16. All he needs to find is a couple shots. That's going to be an easy kill if Lush makes this mistake.
Sizing him up. Sitting on the corner there. Lukash really just antagonizing him with a short drive here and there, but now it looks like he will finally maybe try and go get some more loot there. As you mentioned, he only had a level 1 helmet, looked like low armor as well. So that's the tough part. As you mentioned, it was wasn't it Red Eagle and another locked in the military, or in the school rather, for about 5 to 7 minutes. And while that could be a good move to potentially get a kill and take someone out, at the same time, you're losing a lot of valuable loot time. Even if you're still in the circle and you're safe, everyone else is potentially getting geared up around you.
And just trying to play it safe again, at that point, Lukash is in this position where it's like, I don't need the kill. You don't need it. It's going to be 1 point in the difference when you're looking at, in the top 60s at the time. You don't need that kill as badly as you think. You have the ability to run away, and it looks like that's going to be the choice he makes. And again, like you said, getting that better loot is going to be a lot better for him. And it looks like B-Man here, I really like this. He has the P18C, probably one of my favorite pistols, my favorite pistol in the game. Not probably, it absolutely is. Full auto, I use that. It's just wonderful to have in place of an SMG if you want to pick up a sniper or a shotgun. Have something else maybe. Just keep that close range available for you. But it looks like he's not going to be causing any distress here, as the car is just going to be picked up and driven away from him. And it looks like it's good as Reptar right outside of the circle, taking some tick damage, but looking to really just disable this Dulcia and allow himself to get aggressive. The door just opened for him, so he might be able to find some fights here, but it ultimately looks like he just needs to get in there, get healed up, and find himself a better position.
Moving in on the blue, but out in the direction of sort of the trying to keep it safe, trying to get into some of this. And I guess looking to get healed up here as the meds are popped. Taking out all the vehicles around the area. He wants to be the only one in a car at the end of this game.
And, I mean, being able to do that, it's going to give him just a little bit of an advantage because any of the players that are out here, which as we can see is really only Funk Daddy, he's going to be able to just cause them that trouble of you now have to run to get into the circle. As we're going to kind of pop over here, Dodo Uncut, one of the players we got to see make some interesting plays last game as they fought for the rock. Now looking to try and keep fight for this house just below Fatty McNugget. In this kind of position, again, the stairs are your best savior. You have a nice advantage because you get to see the player just before they can see you. You get that ability to try and find the headshot if you can get it. With the shotgun, he should be able to find a nice kill as Dodo Uncut going to be able to kill DJ Doodoo as he comes through, but he's going to get caught out now looking for the kill. Fatty McNugget ran right by him. Some shots being thrown out. They know where they are, and they're just dancing around these walls. Shotgun shot going to come through, and Dodo Uncut going to get taken down by the double barrel.
Yeah, that was a really nice move to flank around to the other door and come up on the side of him. Really well played in that situation where he potentially had the not the upper hand, being on the bottom floor, being outside of the house. Really nice takedown there.
We're actually going to see a few players that have been knocked out that I've been looking at, just a couple of names, but Katie Cake's going to be the one. I feel like I mentioned her. Now I've mentioned her every week, whereas it comes out. She was number 4 last week. She was number 2 in week 1, but she just hasn't had that performance. And one of the things that we've kind of looked at is the fact that she tends to get caught out. She just doesn't have the best awareness for this kind of mid-game where it comes down. That's one of the discussions we've really been able to kind of crack into some of these players. She is one that we have seen regularly get to the point where she's in a decent position, but then just makes one bad move and ends up paying for it. And as we see right there, going to get knocked out and not going to be able to make it any higher than top 50. And unfortunately for her, that's going to affect her score because now, I mean, sitting at 56 points, that's not going to be very comfortable when you have players getting 12 kills in number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could argue that the mid potentially the hardest part of the game. The circle starts moving faster. Everybody's getting pushed on top of each other. There's not so many fresh bodies with potentially no gear to take advantage of and take down. At that point, usually everybody is geared up and they're moving in on the circle. And you see moments like this where someone has the advantage just by a second difference in placement of a hill or in a building. And, and the difference between that and the end game is that in the end game, you're down to almost a manageable amount of people. So I think that's why that happens for some players in the mid game and why it's hard for them to manage, because there's so much coming from so many different directions potentially. Smithy getting into it here does manage to get healed up. This could be a good fight, and this is your leaderboard leader right here, your ladder number 1, and so it's always worth the watch, because if this guy goes down here in the 40s, this is going to allow other people to creep up potentially into that number 1 spot.
And the thing that I really got out of that last just small skirmish when it came down to it is Kavorka saw him, got the shots off. He has a shotgun, so he got a lot of health down very fast. But Smithy's reaction time was almost instantaneous to pop up and start taking Kavorka down to almost the exact same health that Smithy was at. Of course, now retreating. Looks like he may have found a vehicle, a motorcycle to run away. Shot's going to be aimed, but not taken. M24 on the back of Kavorka. Is looking dangerous. He's running the sniper shot. He has very, very limited range. He is either long or very close up. But with the open field, he doesn't need to be very close up. He has that advantage. And honestly, with the hill he's on, the geography is kind of playing its way to him. As it looks like Nobsy here going to be caught out. Spaz, another player, great with grenades, as we learned in the last game, looking to be just in a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, and Smithy's reaction time, not just to get the shots off, but also to get that heel off and then get down behind the hill there. Nice shots here coming from Nobsy, and Spaz is looking real low.
Looking to try and probably just hide behind the tree, heal up with whatever he has. But Nobsy doesn't seem to have any healing options. Otherwise, I believe that's what he'd be doing at this point in time. Just sitting there waiting. And I like the way he's holding this angle on the tree. He's making sure that he's keeping as much of him hidden as possible while he's able to get a full view of Spaz. And he's just kind of holding him down in that cover and recognizes where Spaz is going to look and tries to get whatever tiny shot he's able to find.
Yeah, that looked really nice. I thought he was... Oh! Wow.
What a headshot.
The tables turned there. And that's the beauty of this game, is that I thought that hit on Spaz the first time he peeked around that rock was going to be a headshot for the kill. Didn't hit it, and Spaz comes back right at him and takes him down.
That's one of those moments you get to see those every now and then, but that one is just a very good showcase of how important it is to hit those shots. Like, you need to hit the first ones, because once they know where you are, once they see how you're sitting, that positioning right there, he knows where your head's going to pop out. He knows where to aim. And even if it's going to take him just a split second to get there, he's going to be able to find that headshot. And that's exactly what we get to see. And he gets to take the spoils because of it, as now we are at 40 alive. The circle, 20 seconds until it starts closing down. A lot of players still needing to get in there, and a lot of them looking to still be locked out. Reptar, Enap, and Fairy Tale of Sin all just around each other, around the one almost guaranteed car spawn here around Georgia Pole. And it's looking like Fairy Tale of Sin knows where Enap is. Enap knows where Fairy Tale of Sin is. I'm not sure if either of them recognize Reptar's positioning here.
Yeah, I think Reptar's the only one that has a beat on both of them, and he does get to kill on Enap as well, who was focused on Fairy Tale of Sin right there. So a nice takedown, a nice awareness of Reptar to see that firefight going between them, and to take advantage of that for his own gain.
Unfortunately, though, that is going to kind of reveal himself in position as we, I think we're having a couple of issues in the background as we'll get that sorted out. But just having that position and being able to hold it, getting the headshot, again, that's going to be the most important thing to look at. Is a lot of these players with the armor they find, they're usually going to be stuck with a level 1 helmet. They're not going to have a lot of head protection. And when it comes down to it, those bullets are going to eat through that. And like we got to see in pretty much both of the last fights we've watched, that's what gets eaten through. The one bullet, one tap, one shot is all it's going to take. And that's unfortunate for them. They just weren't able to find anything better, weren't able to get that upgrade. That level 3 helmet just showing how much worthwhile it is to find that, just because you get to live through a couple of shots.
Absolutely. For those of you wondering about the scoring situation here in the PUBG League solo ladder, it's a season of 5 weeks. We are in week 3 here, the third game of 3. And the scoring goes as follows. First place gets 30 points. Second place is 25. Third is 20. Fourth is 15. Fifth is 10. 6th through 10th is 5 points each spot. And 11th and beyond is 1 point each, plus the kills count into that total as well. So that's the scoring. The prizes for the tournament here are some really nice mice for the top 3 places. And as we mentioned before, there's a very interesting aspect in case there's a tie. It's called the pan-off. At the end of the season, if players happen to be tied and a clear first to third is not determined, players will play a special tiebreaker to determine placement. The pan-off server settings include circle set to fast speed, no meds, only pans, machetes, and sickles for weapons. And they all go in there in that special setup, and they fight to a bloody death for the winners. And it's very exciting to see. And coming into this week 3, I studied the first 2 weeks of play in the CAS, and really got to know the players and how they had worked their way into the leaderboard so far. And so it's been a pleasure for me in this 3rd week to see how the leaderboard is now shaping up with some new names and some of the regular heavy hitters.
And really, I mean, I just want to see a pan off. Like, I don't care about the placing. I don't care which 3 players it is. I want to see that fight. Like, I just want to see as many people. Like, I want a 10-way tie for first, and I want to see all of them go at it with the pan. But unfortunately, that's going to be relatively risky. I mean, because with 1 point being awarded for each kill, it's going to be kind of shaky overall. And whoever can kind of get that, there's going to be like one person that's going to just kind of eke ahead each time. As it stands, though, we're looking now 28 left alive. Actually, make that 27 as we see Dozing Chopper just get annihilated there as we make this flyby. And it looks like a couple of these players are going to be safe, ultimately sitting around where they are. They have about 5 seconds until the circle closes down to this next spot. And they're going to be forced to move. And there are quite a few still just sitting on the edge. A couple still sitting outside the circle, taking that damage just to try and stay safe, being locked down. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be kind of forced into a position where they either have to choose bullets or circle for that damage. It looks like Jay Snipes probably in one of the more favorable positions for this new circle, and a hut right by the nice big gaps over here in Gatka, as a couple of other players, as we see Total T-Mac, Angry Guy, all of them wide open field.
Jay Snipes is a name we've heard through the last couple weeks. Took 4th place in Game 2 last week. It looks like he's going to push on to Total T-Mac here. And boom goes Total T-Mac. Nice kill from Jay Snipes. 22 left alive, and the circle is pushing in.
Now we're going to be seeing a couple players still dying outside. Rhino Main going to be able to kill Red Eagle. A couple of other names we've seen as right now. Jack, with the one sniper he has, going to get locked down. Taylor G should have the bead on him, knows where he is, got some of those shots off. The healing looking like it's bandages, unfortunately, with the slow tick. Nope, there it is going to be a nice big med kit going to keep him a full health and allow him to fight as Fairy Tale of Sin going to get taken down. J Snipe's going to get that kill. Smithy taking out Wino Cake, who was number 2 in the last match. It's going to be big as Sozamix recognized that he wasn't going to make it there, decided ultimately he didn't have heals, didn't have what he needed. B-Men also going down outside the play zone, bringing us down to 17 as Funk Daddy going to get taken down as well.
Yeah, Funk Daddy goes down, 16 alive. Here comes an airdrop. We see 3 players there low on health. It looks like one of them managed to heal up there, but some players without heals. This is going to be a few bodies dropping here as they are going to potentially fight over this crate, which is in a very open area except for the house that it landed right in front.
And Keza here actually in a really good position to try and rush up on that. No one has a very good line of sight. Rhino Main might be able to find it, but it's going to be relatively long range, a little bit harder to hit those shots depending on the speed of Keza. With a car right there, with the tree right there, with some rocks all around there, ultimately going to be relatively good cover, but it looks like Keza is more so waiting to bait that one out as we're going down. 14 left alive and not going to make that move, not going to make the aggressive play, but ultimately going to use that as kind of a bait for other players to come up as a flaming car running through their vehicle explosion. Pizuka got the kill on the Fergs, and that's going to be just a nice clean kill. Smooth Carbon going to be seeing that vehicle run by, knows that someone is nearby and watching any cars that might pass.
Yeah, that's must be terrifying to see from the ground level. By back over by the crate, looked like the Muffin Man had a bead on it as well, and could potentially be waiting for one of them to pop out. Here's Pizuka taking a look at Smithy here. Not sure if he knows that he's there, but he is looking in the right direction here. They are up there on the leaderboard together. Of course, Smithy up in the #1 spot and Pizuka in the 5th spot, looking to add some kill points, but with no scope at all on that UMP.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to find the kills he wants. And Pizuka was one of those players we got to see, and right now is kind of playing similar to a game we saw last week where he's caught outside the circle, and this one is doing chunks of damage. As we can see, he has taken that hit. He doesn't have a vehicle to run to, and he is caught outside of it. He's running as fast as he can. He did find a UAZ close by, so he should be able to get in, but that's going to announce his presence. Smooth Carbon is sitting right there, just waiting for someone to make that mistake to fly in, and it's going to be right there. Pizuka's going to stop, doesn't notice, or maybe he doesn't know, he doesn't see it, and Smooth Carbon going to be able to pick that one up. Top 10, but now Smooth Carbon's the one outside the circle. Should be able to get in no problem. Falls down, should heal up, but that was just going to be a clean kill. And ultimately, I mean, similar to what we saw last game, living pretty much just through the lay of the land, not worried about cover at all.
Yeah, it was a nice takedown there, moving back into the circle. Looks like Surdy and Smithy here in a firefight by this house. And this is going to potentially call the herd a little bit. Smithy goes down. Surdy, or Fast Killer, actually, with the kill. Looked like there was a third there taking advantage of that fight.
Looking like it's going to go as we actually see Fast Killer taken down by Sir as well. 8 left alive, and he is sitting about half health. Taylor G in the neighborhood looking for a kill. Hears all these shots, recognizes there are players nearby, and knows better than to get too aggressive. Sir going to be able to heal up there and ultimately looking for the movement they need. This circle falling perfectly for us right in the middle of an open field. Very little cover. Ultimately, it's looking like a couple rocks and a lot of bushes and small trees. A lot of bloodbath, and these players are going to wait this one out as long as they possibly can. And Smooth Carbon, I actually believe, with the playstyle he's had so far, it's going to pretty much match what he's been doing. But Taylor G and some of these others are going to be forced to move forward.
Absolutely. Taylor G on the cusp there, and it looks like he might be able to get a beat on Sir when he comes out from that cover there. And the Muffin Boy sitting in the middle, looking like the best position on that circle right now. JQOB moving in with the UAZ. This is dangerous right now because there's a lot of places where these guys are hiding in bushes and in the grass. And if you stop that UAZ in the wrong spot, just like Smooth Carbon got that hit previously, you're looking to be a sitting duck there. And oh, snap.
Keza able to pick up that kill there, running in, barely going to be able to outrun the circle. Solo health, but makes it out alive, gets the kill. 5 left alive. Smooth Carbon inside the circle, just barely. Muffin Boy inside the circle, just barely. And them and Keza all kind of locked in this triangle of open field, where as we see Sir and Taylor G still very close to each other on the other side. Not yet fallen is any of the top 5 players, but I hear some shots being fired, and ultimately they're waiting patiently as Sir going to be taking shots from behind. Taylor G picks up another kill and ultimately finds a better position. That house awarding just an ultimate cover right now.
Absolutely. He did wait very patiently for Sir to push out of cover and get pushed out by the blue. Hit that rock there, took him down. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of crawling here in this final circle because there's not a lot of cover for these guys to maneuver between. And Keza there with a nice ride of the blue. I call that surfing the wave, when you're just rolling in with it and taking it in and really playing that game of taking massive ticks of damage at this point versus being able to get a quick kill coming outside of the blue. He does have some pretty good cover. Of course, he's going to get pushed out of that off that UAZ, but right now he potentially has the best cover out of all these guys. The rest of them sort of sitting in the middle of the field.
So Smooth Carbon right now is the one that I'm kind of glancing at. Is he doesn't have an extended mag. He has 13 shots in that vector. I believe from what I heard earlier, as a silencer on there. But I've only seen him holding out this vector. As far as I know, that SMG is the one weapon that he is like just wielding. It looks like it might have a car as well as he pulls that one out, and a nice scope on it. So keeping himself, again, kind of easy mid to close range and a nice long range weapon in an open field like this. It's going to be very good for him. The circle closing though. Players going to be forced to move. Keza crawling as fast as they can to try and get in. The same thing goes for Muffin Boy, but he's going to get caught out, taking chunks of damage at this point. Barely going to be able to sneak it in there, and has a nice bush to kind of use this cover there. But it looks like a lot of these players are just kind of on the cusp of it, being forced closer and closer. A pan being held right now by Taylor J. Going to switch over. But this is getting, I mean, as close range as it gets, and a nice grenade lands right on top. And unfortunately for Smooth Carbon, that spells his way out of this game. We're in top 3.
Top 3 here. Very nice play. And you can see Keza does have the meds to pre-med there, get the stims going, and ride out this blue wave every time it hits. Taylor also pre-medded. And it looks like the Muffin Boy is as well. So these guys are in good shape. This is going to potentially come down, though, to how much ammo they have in those guns. As you mentioned, Smooth Carbon earlier was very low on his vector, and how much healing power they have going into this. And if they can get that pre-med going before they get into the final circle as they're pushed in here by the blue.
Now, Taylor G looking to have a nice little bit of an advantage. I actually like this combo of gun that they have going into this. The AK and the SKS going to allow a lot of damage in a small amount of time, although running the way that they are right now should be spotted out. I don't know if the Muffin Boy saw him, but Keza definitely did, but the shot's going to be returned over, actually being sprayed around. Taylor going to get a lot of damage and ultimately going to be able to find the kill. Now top 2, but giving their position away. Muffin Boy, we only need 1 kill to win it, and he finds exactly what he needs. Gets number 1, only has that single kill. 6 kills on Keza there, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough to kind of bring that one up, and it's going to be looking like a good top 10 coming out of that. Muffin Boy clinches it.
Yeah, clinches it with 1 kill, as you said, rounding out the top 3. Taylor G with 3 kills, Keza with 6, and Fast Killer down the list there with 6 as well. It looks like that was the high for the round. Of course, we saw the highest kill count yet so far in game 2 today with 12 kills. But this round here played to a final circle in the middle of a field, lots of crawling, lots of stims, and not so many kills. But as you mentioned, it only takes 1, sometimes even no kills to win potentially here, as you are fighting not just the players, but that blue area as well.
And Smithy being knocked out there. Number 10 on the leaderboard, but that is going to be just another big hit. He still makes it into the top 10. He's still going to get some decent points for it, and ultimately might be able to retain that #1 spot just because of the point lead he has going into this. But coming out of it, that's going to be bringing a lot of people a lot closer than I feel like he would be comfortable with, and it's going to be making next week and the week after a lot more competitive for these players and how high they place. And I mean, as it stands this game, I mean, this week, we will be having the points come out, and as we go through and get the scores, should be out by tomorrow, and ultimately have the leaderboard updated. But I expect to see him still at the top. Lush, though, is going to be kind of on the bad receiving and didn't really make it that high in those last 2 games, and ultimately looks like he's going to get knocked down potentially out of his spot. A couple of those other players were able to make it higher place than he was, but as it stands, only the points will tell, and that's going to be as we see, not only tomorrow when it's updated, but as we go into next week, what these players are able to do.
Yeah, I did the math earlier today, and trust me, I'm no math genius. I'm an art major, so the math isn't going to be super precise. But in my head, I'm seeing Smithy retain that #1 spot because it would have taken someone placing very high repetitively throughout this contest today. Along with some pretty high kill counts. And we did see Dark Dreams with the 12 bomb there, and so that is going to be a significant amount of kills to add points to. But the win was 1 out of 3, and so we did see some other players mix it up as well. So very exciting times here. I think as you get further along in the weeks, it will get more and more exciting as it plays out, and the leaderboard really rounds itself out. I think the first week, as you mentioned, lower player count, it really did allow some of the players to get into that top 10 spot easier than the next 2 weeks, so to say. Not to take anything away from them. They still got there. They still played, and this is why we play, right? To see who comes out on top, because it's not necessarily going to be the same person. And you mentioned Lush having a rough day today, while last week he placed first place in 2 out of 3 games. So ups and downs of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds as we all face when we play the game. And it's not any different for these guys here, just potentially doing it against a higher level of players.
And with that, we'll be ending this week, week number 3. We still have 2 more weeks of play coming out, week number 4 next week. And then for the following Thursday will be week number 5. The last few games as we go, we're going to be live pretty much starting at 6:30 p.m. as we get the players ready for the game 1. That's when the timer will start as we go forward, and we'll get the games to you as soon as we can. But with that, we'll end this week on that note and go into it with a short break again. Keep your eyes tuned for the leaderboards being updated. But as it stands, I was Gormizer. Joining me was Heyday, and we will talk to you next week.
Appreciate you having me. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.